Hey, what's up? It's the Dirty South podcast, and we are back this week. Brant, Jason, obviously, as you guys all know, in the Southeast, wrestling is on full go, and we've all been around the wherever we are in the Southeast, and then doing whatever we do. Uh, as you
How I
see,
feel
this
right
is
now, whatever I
here
do.
we go. I was just going to announce that we will be having Izzy with Izzy Style Wrestling and the co-founder of RAF coming on, and there he is. He's on. So, what's up, Izzy? Meet Jason. I don't know if you've ever seen him around. He's been at all the Fargos you've been at, but that's Jason. He owns SE Wrestle, which is all over the Southeast, and that's Brant Parsons on the bottom left. He owns Cobra Wrestling. He does everything Florida. So, welcome to the show.
Going on?
How's it going,
What-
Izzy? You doing well?
Doing well. I'm actually on my way to Fishers, Indiana for Real American Freestyle 4.
All right. Fishers, Indiana.
Yeah.
All right. How in the world do you pick out Fishers, Indiana?
Sometimes these things go together. They find us and we're looking for pretty cool venues. So we were actually going to go to Stillwater, Oklahoma. And we had a deal locked in. We had all the wrestlers, David Taylor, everybody was rolling. That's why you see a lot of Cowboys on this card, because we were initially going to Stillwater. And then what happened was our production's just too big for that arena. Gallagher Arena isn't the arena that can fit our production and the floor, and it's just a lot. So we had to make a change, and Fisher's accommodated us well. Their people, the arena has just been so awesome. The town has been awesome. Everybody's pretty, really pumped to have us. So it was a pretty easy change.
Yeah, well, you guys, I mean, you are headlining with Hendrickson, which, I mean, that exactly what you said, but the card is awesome from top to bottom, man.
Yeah, Wyatt was one of our guys that we wanted right away, and then Mason came out of retirement. So it was like, oh man, we want to get Mason. And then before you know it, it was like that was going to be the main event in Stillwater. And then when it switched, it was just a no-brainer, also to go to Indiana, because the main event was with Wyatt and his hometown. They said he's got about 300-400 fans coming. So we're pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been cool to watch since the first show, and to see, obviously, with the loss of the great Hulk Hogan going into your first week, that the world tried to put a stick in your spokes, but you were able to get through that. Shout out to him and his family, and it's kind of cool how WWE has met real wrestling, and so you get actually the entertainment value, but then the product and the action is actually the real deal, and it's been so cool to see that kind of mixture. Um, man.
I'm glad you guys like it. It was, I was in the UFC for so long, coaching John Jones and Holly, and just being affiliated with Jackson Wink, and you get used to the big show. So when it was our turn and we started talking about it with my partner Chad and Hulk was the big show himself. So it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer to throw a big show, and that's what we're really excited right now. At first everyone kind of thought it was going to be like a flow wrestling deal where there's a mat and maybe some smoke or something, and it's that we respect them, but in order to get it to the next level, we knew we had to invest and get the right partners and to really blow this thing up and put on a show, and that's what we've been able to do, and we're just super excited. The community's behind us, the wrestling community has bought in, they're all rooting for us. I mean, I think we sold over 3,500 tickets already, and they're coming in by the hundreds right now the last couple of days. I think we'll see about 4,000 to 5,000 fans at Fishers, and 20,000 online. Should be a great event.
Well, and the build up, and I want to go into. I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
No, you're good. One of the things that always stood out to me when you've been putting the cards together, one is just, I mean, it is star studded. Like, I mean, for those of us who love UFC and wrestling and that crossover between the two, just the level of names. I mean, like I think you got Bilal, Muhammad on this card coming up. I mean, he's gonna go against David Carr. I mean, this is kind of like a mashup of like just two awesome
How about
things.
Look,
Yeah,
I
Yoel,
thought
but
the
Yoel
initial
was a
matchup.
wrestler. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
that
but
I don't know. I mean, Bilal was probably a wrestler too. I just don't
this
know it.
is this is more interesting that Downey jumped in. I mean, obviously we know who the other guy is. He's pretty good, but Downey just brings a different type of action and personality, and he is going to be
Yeah.
even better, I think.
Well, I think that if you ever tune into that Fox News when me and Hulk and my partner Chad and then Eric Bischoff were on that Hulk thing, it's just we had all the right people, and my significance in the league is not only knowing the wrestlers my whole life, but knowing the best fighters in the world and having relationships with the best fighters in the world and watching how the UFC, watching how these other huge promotions have done it. And you have to have those crossovers. You have to get, I love the wrestling fans, but we're not going to do it with just the wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We need more fans. We need more eyes. We need the crossover fans. And that's what we're doing. And we're not
and that's true. When you first came out with it, I had some big name coaches around the country talk to me and say, the one thing that we're worried about is if they're only going after wrestling fans, it's going to be tough. But then you started to see, because the whole idea is let's get the public into this, let's get other people and build the brand, build the sport. And now that you're starting to bring in the UFC guys and the fighters and the world wrestler, and you're starting to see, now you're getting, one thing that I've been amazed is how the UFC has welcomed you to bring their fighters back into this and allow them to wrestle, because a lot of these are under contract. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, we have a great relationship with Dana White, Hunter Campbell, my partner Chad, he manages Juliana Pena, so he's been in those meetings firsthand with those executive level folks at the UFC, and I think they know it's good for their program. I think they know it's good for their brands also. These wrestlers are getting good competition, they're getting paid on the outside there,
Yeah.
but they're also sharpening these guys in a skill that they all need to have to be a UFC champion. So
Absolutely.
it's just been pretty beneficial, all the way around, and that's what we're pretty excited.
So, one thing I wanted to say, and then I know Brand, you have a question, Jason, and I know we're talking about RAF4 right now because that's coming up in 72 hours or whatever it is with the great card who's got there. But we're down in the Southeast, and we've got the great card coming to RAF5 on January 10th, and I know we'll get into that. But one thing I wanted to I mean, guys, if you're in the wrestling community, Izzy has Izzy Style Wrestling. It's out of Chicago. He's built that program up to a national powerhouse. A lot of the best and greatest have come out of there. If you don't know who he is, you can look it up and you can research it. He's had UFC champs, he's had national champs, he's had high school champs, and now he's working on this. But I just wanted to shout out who he is so that whoever's watching it kind of has that background. But going into, so we got this weekend with the Blades, and I know, Jason, you had some questions about this weekend, and then I know, Brand, you wanted to get into Pat Lugo and one of our South Florida kids coming to the stage, coming back. We've seen him putting in the work in Iowa, and it's great.
So let's transition to South Florida, just talk about it, and then we'll end it with talking about four.
We should have started with Florida right away. So that's my bad, guys.
You're just excited, man.
Hey, I'm on my way to finish, but I'll tell you what, I just got off the phone with Steve Mocco. We got a lot of things in the works for Florida. Florida's going to be awesome. Pat Lugo's cranking away at Iowa. He's wrestling, internet superstar, but also college wrestler Johnny DeJulius. I mean, it's going to be a barn burner down there. And boy, oh boy, do we have a mega, mega surprise that you guys will hear Saturday night as far as the main event or the co-main event going down in Florida.
Bigger than Covington and Rockhold?
Bigger.
What?
Oh, they always keep something in their pocket. So, yeah, Brent, go ahead, buddy.
You kind of asked my question, but but coming to Florida, talk about for those of us that may not know as much, where is it at? What can people expect there? How do people get tickets and get excited for this?
Well, let me just say this, Baron. Great question, but let me just talk a little bit about my Florida background here. So we live in Chicago suburbs, and there's two junior colleges near us. Waubonsie Community College used to be a wrestling. They don't have a wrestling program anymore, and Harper College, which is in Palatine. So there's two junior colleges here in Illinois that used to predominantly get tons of Miami wrestlers. So some of my great friends are Miami wrestlers. Irv Nelford, Chris Cantillo. There's so many guys from Florida that I kind of grew up with that wrestled with my brother that we just had so much love for Florida wrestling in general. And so that there's just a little background there on my love for Florida wrestling. My nephew Claudio Torres Jr. is in Orlando at Lake Highland Prep. So there's just I got a lot of love for Florida wrestling. South Dade, Pat Lugo. So we're very excited there. So when it was time to go to Florida, we were kind of torn between like Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. But who doesn't want to go to Miami and Fort Lauderdale area? We're at the Panthers, Panthers Arena. You can go to Fox Nation. You can go to realamericanfreestyle.com and you can get check out our seats there. Tickets are selling, and I think they're going to go crazy once we announce our co-main event on Saturday.
Wow. So I wanted to ask a question of like, who is the first person like you reached out to say, hey, we're coming to South Florida? And I mean, you've already talked about Pat Lugo being on the card, but like, I mean, who is like kind of that inroads kind of making it happen in Florida?
All right. So my partner, Chad Bronson, he's from Florida. He lives in Tampa.
Okay.
So him and Hulk, and part of this dream, before Hulk passed, was we got to grow Florida wrestling because Chad lives down there. Chad's son's a wrestler. Chad's down there competing. His son's competing, and it was all about, man, let's grow the sport of wrestling first. Let's grow this league. Let's do everything big. We didn't do it for the money. We did it to grow the sport, and that was part of why we wanted to do this. And them being in Florida and Hulk's ties in Florida. Eric Bischoff's grandson lives in Florida and wrestles in Florida. Our connections are Tampa, obviously with Chad and Hulk. But as you know, things change, and we're not going to the I believe it's the Line and Google Arena down in there in Tampa. But we wanted to go to Miami, and we have some great connections down there. Chad, our other guy, our ticketing guy, Matt Jankowski. We just kind of researched the area through relationships. We got connected with the right guy. We're headed to Florida.
Yeah.
January.
I like the Sunrise idea too because you're just north of Miami. You're just south of Florida, Fort Lauderdale. So you're not all the way down to where people will be like, it's kind of far, but you're not all the way up to where people. And there's a lot of tournaments going on. Obviously, you're right in the heart of our season. So I've already heard talking to coaches that there's a lot of kids that in that specific area from, all the counties that go down from Palm Beach all the way to Dade. And if they get done with their tournaments early, they're all jumping in buses and vans and heading up your way. So there's a lot of talk about it already. And it's been awesome. I mean, I'm excited because I thought the Oliver Woods.
Did you guys see Penn State in Wyoming? They sold that place out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what Miami's going to be like. When has all these great wrestlers ever come down to Florida? So a lot of these kids they never get to see these guys. They never get to see the real Woodses, the Kobe Covingtons, they never get to see this great card of wrestlers. So now's their chance, and I think the phone calls have been going crazy. The wrestling community down there is just so awesome. They're so damn pumped to go. I mean, I think it's going to be a sellout arena. There's going to be kids going crazy, and one of the things we take pride in is that it's a family friend atmosphere. We want it to be for the kids. We don't want it to be for adults. The UFC is amazing, but there's a lot of adults there. It's a different crowd.
Right.
This is a fan-friendly crowd. In Chicago, there was 1,000 kids getting autographs in the fan expo. And, our athletes are so close to them. And it's such a real experience It's second to
Yeah,
none, guys. It's awesome.
I wasn't there in Chicago, but my son's college program, they brought all their kids. Actually, one of his coaches was an Izzy style kid in Joe Norton, and he brought all their kids. But what I was told is when one of these college teams kids are wrestling, it's almost like a D2 or D3 tournament where they're all crowded in one area over the mat, and it starts to become like a soccer match, and they're all cheering and rooting and doing like a national tournament. And I heard it was amazing. The just the atmosphere was.
We have our, shout out to Eric Bischoff and our production crew, the talent that we have. I mean, Eric Bischoff himself is just a legend, right? Anybody that can beat the WWF for a year straight, that's power, right? The vision and just being on the big show, everybody's entertained. No one's got a moment of oh man, this is boring. There's always something going on. It's and everyone knows I like to throw parties, so it's a mixture of a big old party and a wrestling match and an unbelievable production.
Yeah,
So I want to wrap up.
Before you wrap up, Jason, I want you to talk about, or maybe Brant or whoever.
Well, hang on, I want to wrap up just South Florida real quick, and I wanted to ask you a question real quick on the fact that the two people you put in the main event, which, if you watch, MMA and that sort of thing, they are top. I mean, the absolute best in the world. But I would say you were talking about family friendly. Those two individuals, the way they talk, I'm not sure. How are you going to curtail the two of them going back and forth at each other?
Well, that's a great question, but I like to tell people this, especially about my own wrestling school. Right? Everybody gets kind of caught up in a lot of things, right? But if you grab any 12-year-old's headphones and put on their music, you're going to hear the same thing Kobe Covington's going to say, right? You have
no, that's true.
You grab, and that's what we say about a wrestling school at Izzy style. Everyone's like, man, we heard there's swearing in there sometimes. And it's like, hey, parent, how about you listen to your son's iPod and then you let me know what's going on, if it's appropriate or not.
Well,
right?
Those two are just they're such characters.
It's going to be awesome. I mean, hopefully, and the goal at Real American Freestyle is just let these guys be themselves. Literally, we want fans, we want entertainment, we want shit talking. Every kid shit talks, every parent shit talks, right? Like that's what we want. We want that excitement, we want the drama, and what we really want is when those guys come out of that tunnel, we want either you decide, do you want Kobe to win? Who do you want to win, right? Like, we want you to choose sides right away. We want you to root for the guy who wins. And we want you, if you got to boo the guy that wins and he's not your guy, we don't care. But we want entertainment, and we're doing the backstories so people can kind of, decide who they want to win.
Dude, it's awesome. The card in South Florida, and I can't wait until Saturday night for this announcement. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, as we get closer, guys, I know you guys got a show today, and I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys are absolutely awesome. I finally found out about your podcast, and now I've been listening to it. You guys do a kick-ass job. Keep doing it. Florida wrestling needs it. You guys are a huge part of it, and hopefully we'll jump on again before we, get down to Florida.
That'd be great.
The one thing I want to say before we let you go, first of all, just a brief note, I'm excited for Blades and Boys, two of the best girls we've seen in our country wrestle, period. That's going to be fun. Iowa versus North Central, that's another big fun thing. That's enough said, right? But as far as all three of us are at what's called the Christmas Knockout or the Knockout Christmas Classic this weekend. And Jason can tell you briefly, but it's the best teams from all 7, basically, or 6 of our Southeast states come down and compete here. It's grown to be one of the toughest, if not the toughest in the Southeast, and it's getting to become as tough as any in the country. Last year they had colleges come in. This year it's all high school. But what can we do this weekend to help you get the word across to all these kids and coaches that'll be in the room? And is there something that you want to say that, if we can talk Jim Price into putting a little shout out up on the big screen there from you, how can we help?
I think Florida wrestling is on its way, with or without Real American Freestyle. I think they got great coaches, great people, great families. a ton of dedicated wrestlers. And as you know, nobody wants to be in the snow anymore. So there's a lot of great coaches, a lot of great coaches moving to Florida. So, I think anything that, they could support us, whether they're there in public, they're there in person, or they can, get on Fox Nation, download the app, there's a special going, any support, we'd appreciate. We're in this to grow the sport of wrestling. We're in this to support the greatest sport in the world. And we just appreciate any support, even if it's trash talk. We love it. And we want everyone to talk about it.
Yeah. And come see Florida's own Pat Lugo competing that night. And maybe we might see some more Florida wrestlers. I know you haven't announced the whole card yet. We'll get some surprises this weekend.
Coach, we appreciate you taking the time, man. And you are hyped up. I can't wait for Saturday night. It's going to be great.
Hey, guys, you guys keep kicking ass, man. Good luck to all the wrestlers competing this weekend. Do your thing.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, buddy. Safe drive.
Woo.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
High
man.
energy, right?
I love
I'm
it,
sorry.
dude.
I got a little excited with my questions. I apologize, but
Yeah.
I could have probably talked to him for about 2 hours. There's so many things I wanted to ask, but I know we've got a brief. But we'll try and clip a little something there so that we can bring it with us down to the show. I'll clip some stuff and get it over to you guys.
Yeah,
but man,
yeah. It. To be fair, like everybody who's watching, like it really is a success. The fact that Dan was able to hold it to 10 minutes of him constantly talking.
I mean, if you look at in our group text, Jason was wrapping it up like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And not because we didn't want to talk to him, but we have this set schedule to make sure we talk about everyone we want to talk about. And it was funny.
We don't.
Dan's like, I don't take nothing from nobody.
We don't care. We don't get guests that often, and it's cool. But I mean, shout out to him. Obviously he spoke about CJ, Claudio's son. Claudio is somebody that's highly involved with him and helping him with that. Another person is Connor Beebe, and we're gonna. For those who don't know, we'll have Connor Beebe on next week to talk about a lot of the same stuff and also talk about his program and what he's doing down there. And also he's got some cool events coming up in his own gym that we'll talk about. So, but Connor Beebe, another Illinois guy that knows Izzy very well, has been to, I know one RAF. I don't know if he's been to more than that yet, but he's also got a huge raffle going on right now. If you go to his site where he's offering VIP stuff for the RAF that's coming down here. So it's been cool. It's been fun to watch. There's some WWE antics that happen in the background, right? But then when it comes down to the actual event, it's real wrestling, real American freestyle.
All right. So no, it's totally cool. I'm super excited about it. I've watched the one that was at Penn State. I don't know if we'll get a chance to watch the one from Indiana because we will all be at the knockout this weekend. But and today's show,
for anybody paying attention, knockout preview also being recorded today.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say is today's show. This show is specific to this past week's results or wrestling and everything else. Probably won't run nearly as long, although we just spent a little bit of time with Izzy, so it might go quite as long. But then you need to click the next one that pops up, where we will focus entirely on a knockout preview and talk a little bit about that in detail. But let's start.
Sure.
Let's start with this past weekend, which there was a lot of action.
Yes,
and the truth is, the best high school tournament in the entire country happened up at Walsh Jesuit High School in Ohio. Brant's backyard, right? Right around the corner from your backyard.
Nearly went to high school there. Thankfully didn't, and thankfully moved to Miami. That's a whole
not that those two are different.
Yeah. They're related.
But you know what? We saw kids from so Georgia does not send anybody to Ironman. They're not allowed to. Alabama was not up there. I don't know if you know that as far as Georgia goes.
I didn't know that. They're like one state adjacent as far as they can go, or
so I think Ironman has, because they have Blair Academy and programs like that. Georgia does not allow it.
Preps. Right.
But that said, both Tennessee and Florida sent wrestlers up there. And I'll tell you what, Daniel Ward,
Yes.
you were right as far as what is it? There,
Death
what is it with
taxes,
Death,
Tovar?
Tovar.
death taxes and Tovar.
Woo!
That boy's bad.
Yeah. So I don't want to. I mean, obviously we had a couple champs from down on the women's
On
side,
the
but
girls'
let's start
side.
with Tovar because man, I'll tell you what. I know Brant and I were watching it live
Yes.
when he was wrestling his finals against Monoretto. And for those of you who don't know, Dom Monoretto is a world champion. He's ranked #1 in the country. He is a
Ohio
stud.
State commit.
Ohio State commits, and
Yep.
our boy
He's a
took him to the
sophomore.
limits, right? Our boy took him to the limits. Our
That was
sophomore took him to
I
the
mean,
limits.
first off, I would say, and the announcers kind of said it too. I watched 11 or 12 of the finals. That was the best final match I watched,
Yeah.
and just back and forth, and both guys, you could see the respect after it. He gave him everything. That might be the toughest match that kid wrestles all year, in the high school level. Tovar just constantly going, and still was giving him difficulty at the end. Great match.
It was great. I mean, Tovar looked fantastic.
We obviously wanted a different outcome, but other than that,
Right.
great match.
But he didn't.
Um,
It didn't change my mind about how good he is, or my death taxes Tovar. I mean, that boy. He's, the other thing that blew my mind, and I know you mentioned that maybe Iron Man or whoever's running that isn't looking at girls wrestling as much as maybe they should, because you bring in Abigail Gonzalez, who's a Fargo All-American multiple times. She's won or placed their All-American at anything in the country or the world that she's ever competed in. And you bring her into your tournament and you unseat her, unrank her, and her first match is against the #1 seed in the whole tournament. And
She
what
had to beat number
happens?
8 first, and then went #1. But yeah,
No,
Yeah.
because I thought it was the number one. I thought
she beat number 8. She beat #1. She beat #4, and then beat #3.
Is that how it went? I
It,
thought
it,
it was
it
right
doesn't
off the
really
bat.
matter. The point is where she was put in the bracket. She was not on
Listen,
a line.
Iron Man has
Yeah.
girls wrestling. It's exciting.
No, shout out. We love what Iron Man does.
They'll
I'm
pick
just
it up.
saying.
But yeah, and we also had 2 champs. Isabel McFarland from King, in the upperweights, dominated her way through the tournament to win. Willow White made the finals, state champ from South Dade. So the girls we sent up there, Hernando had a group there that won some matches, and Shamari Smith placed, if I remember. I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but that tournament is growing and getting tougher, and hopefully they find someone that can seed better. Listen, Jason's the one that talks most about seeding. He's really good right up on it. I mean, not that we don't talk, but I mean, you analyze it to on an intellectual level, I should say, not just the level that Dan and I would bring talking about seeding.
Right. Right.
But it is something that needs help. But it played out, and in the end, the cream rose to the top, and more people know who she is now. Certainly.
Yep. What do they
No
say,
doubt.
Jason? Water always levels itself out.
I
Never heard that one before. Yeah, water always
I've heard
levels
that one.
itself
It
out.
must
A
be a South
rising
Florida thing.
tide evens the
Yeah.
water or something.
Hold
I
on.
don't know.
Water always level itself out. But the water, yeah.
So actually, a couple things. Number one, I want to make sure I give a shout out to the Southeast as well. Kid from North Carolina, Bentley Sly, made it to the semifinals, lost to Bo Bassett in the semis, ended up 4th, wrestled great. All-American from Baylor, Titus Norman, also made the podium, wrestled great. Let's be honest, on the boys' side, Lake Highland Prep took 4th overall. We kind of buried the lead with that, but their kids wrestled fantastic. I think Zeno lost in sudden victory in semis, but they put 6 on the podium.
I don't remember that. I was trying to pull it up quickly. They were all over the podium. One finalist, and
right, Deck Recker.
Deck Recker was a finalist. I would say, without talking to Palazzo, probably a disappointing performance for them. National prep champion team. I think they did graduate some monsters from their team last year, but
they did.
I'm sure they would have, liked a better finish, but still being able to go up there and show how good they are on a national stage. Fourth at Ironman is huge.
Well,
And
you've raised the level
when you
of
get
the
upset when you're fourth,
program
yeah.
when you're disappointed with taking top 5 at Ironman. I mean, come on.
Right. Yeah, and he's got some young kids that maybe he hasn't released to the public yet, but there's some growth happening in that room, and he's got some hammers, and they're getting better. The ones that are excellent are training the ones that are great, that are training the ones that are good, and so on and so forth. And it's all starting to come up. But yeah, I don't know where you guys were this weekend. I spent my whole week in the Panhandle. I drove up Sunday, and
You're looking at where I was.
yeah, and I did some media days. I went from Bay High School to Elite Wrestling Club to North Bay Haven to South Walton to Mosley, and then I drove 98 all the way out to Gulf Breeze, where the Great Bird and Tribbett and Ryan Blackwell are. And I did their media day on Sunday, but Saturday was the Ryan Blackwell Invitational. Which, for those who don't know, the Ryan Blackwell Invitational was created due to the tragedy that happened to Ryan Blackwell, where he was shot, aboard the Naval Air Station. So this is one way that he gives back to the community. This is one way that he does what he does. And, over the years, I think the tournament has gotten better and better. But this year, I think the depth started sooner. I think the depth started at the quarterfinals, maybe even a little bit sooner. But there was a couple weights as you guys were watching. Obviously, Koa and Garrett were in a weight that ended with a guy from Rummel and a guy from Saint something. Sanders versus Modica in the finals. Those two hammers. But the third place match had. I mean, it was just talk about it, Jason.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's so funny. You're like, Smith Station in Alabama. Eli Sanders, absolutely fantastic. Took on Landon Modica of Archbishop Rummel. Modica is a returning knockout placer. But that, like you said, that weight class was deep. I mean, there are quality individuals up and down that weight class. And I think your takeaway is right in that the entire tournament just seems to be much deeper than it's ever been before. I mean, from top to bottom, the level of competition, they brought in some really good teams from Louisiana. They brought in down a couple teams from Alabama. They had some teams from Georgia, and then you had those Panhandle teams, and Jesuit came up, and you just had some really good competition.
Honestly, on the guy side, I can't think of a one-day tournament that we'll see this year that will be as deep as this was. I keep looking at it, I'm like, my God, they did this in one day. I mean, they had that many talented teams. Usually that's, the big 2-day stretch out. I mean, it's impressive to have that many there. And I don't think we'll see a deeper one.
By the way, on 4 mats, because there was 3 in the gym, and there was 1 for the heavier weights over in the practice room. And Bird and Tribbett and Blackwell and all the help that they have up there did a great job. But speaking of Jesuit, there was a kid that really impressed me. His name was Marco DeMaio, I believe is his name. And he really impressed me the way that he battles through. But the one match, I mean, right off the rip, I believe it was a Rummel kid, had him in one of those like Boston crabs or whatever they call it. What is it called?
I think that's a professional wrestling move, isn't it?
Cradle. Had him in a cradle.
I'm so hungry.
Austin crab. Well, we just got.
Hey, we're losing credibility left and right.
Crab legs would taste so good right now.
RAF, so the WWE, the Boston Crab. I was just trying to get it back into that level, but had him in a cradle and was rolling him around on the mat for a minute and a half. And I got to tell you, 98.7% of wrestlers would have just said, you know what, I've had enough of this. It's just a little tournament in Gulf Breeze the second week of the season. I'm out. This kid fought. Finally got a hold of the hands, ripped them off. By that time, he's down 7-0 or 9-0 at the end of the first period. And then just gradually chipped away. And then you kind of started to see the kid just kind of I hate to use the term break, but he did kind of go the other direction in the effort level. You could see the energy get sucked out of him, and he
How,
came back and won that match. I mean, it's awesome,
how did William Baker Harvey do?
bro. My
The
boy was
Baker was
baking.
in.
My boy was baking again. He was cooking. That boy was bad, and he took home the Ryan Blackville Invitational singlet. All the champs got really cool singlets. I know somebody sent you a picture because I saw you posted it, Jason. I have a better picture of those four guys. Actually, one of them has a singlet now too. So there's a picture of those four guys and two singlets in that picture. But it was
So
cool. It had all,
those are Georgia kids who sent the picture.
yes, it had all the cool thing, like it said, Air Force, Navy. It had the Medal of Honor. It had
Mhm.
all the stuff that kind of embodies the whole tournament on this thing. So it's super cool. But yeah, Will Baker Harvey, my guy was baking, cooking, whatever you want to say. That boy's going to have that nickname. And I hope he continues to have an amazing season. I said to him, we talked about, they said the best part was me busting Brant's chops about beating the number 2 kid twice and only moving up one spot.
Everybody loves
They
being
said
mean to me.
that was the greatest part of the show, but they also understood that there's some killers above him. And I said that to him, and he goes, "Well, you know what? I'm a killer too. So let's see how the season plays out, and hopefully I get a chance to rep with some of them." And
So Brant, what were you paying attention to? What was the tournament that you were paying attention to?
All my texts from Dan all day was what I was paying attention to on Saturday. First off, thanks for pointing out that I'm the most hated man in Florida wrestling, it seems.
I
yeah.
think there are a few others. You're good.
I'm good. Okay.
yeah,
There's so much this
I'm
weekend.
I'm slowly getting there.
I did heed your advice. I resisted temptation, and I stayed home and worked and watched results come in, and still didn't get rankings up till like 3 o'clock yesterday, working around the clock. I think the one that stood out to me on the Florida side was the Johnny Rouse at Haggerty.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen, you can throw all the caveats in. We know
Right.
the teams were missing some guys or some state champs, some state finalists that weren't there. Obviously, like Gibson had some kids at Iron Man, and
Mhm.
some teams weren't at full strength. Haggerty ends up coming out first. They weren't at full strength either. They actually, every team lost at one point. They lost Lake Gibson on day one, but came back on the second day, beat South Dade, beat Southwest Miami, beat there was another team in my head. Just really, I guess it's a shocker, but it shows that 3A duels might be kind of fun this year.
No, I think so.
We don't even know who might be coming from 3A 4 up there. It's I wish I would have gone over there. Some of those duels came down to some big matches. You had top wrestlers going against each other, and it got me excited for what's still to come in this season. Just going over those results from there.
Well, and honestly, I mean, the outcome of the duel is what it is. I mean, because it's so early and it may not be the lineups that are set, but you never know when somebody in a big duel is going to be counted on to do their job, whether that's stay off your back, whether that's get a fall, whether that's this or that, or whatever the case is. And to put yourselves in those situations, where you might have a banged up, Giovanni Solis, and maybe he's not able to kind of step in. So you have to go with somebody else, and you want to be able to see how they are able to perform. Now, Solis was at that tournament. I'm just using that as an example, but the point is that you had top quality teams, you had most of their lineups, and you just got to see how they performed under pressure. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Listen, Southwest Miami, I keep saying, I mean,
man, they were great.
Quietly, again, Nick is just sitting there plugging away at it, and we'll see. I mean, obviously, Nick knows, and we all know that it's early in the season, and what happens at the Johnny Rouse means absolutely zero by March, right?
It means enough to get us excited for January.
No, it gets us excited, but I mean, in the coach's head, it means he's not walking away from there going, "I'm going to win the state tournament." He's coming away with
I don't know what
looking at some
lineup you have
positives.
when a team beats someone that's multiple state champion by 30 points. I mean, you got to you got to know it's going to be fun and
Yeah.
interesting. And I think that's all you can take from it for now.
Well, I think
But
what you learn
there's a
from it
lot
from
to take from it because I think we know Haggerty is deep. We know Southwest Miami is deep. We know Lake Gibson is very deep. We kind of knew that already, but they're guys that step in. Very little fall off from guys that were at in Ohio, and those teams only get, especially we know those teams also in their dual prep and getting ready for January.
Right.
They'll all be ready and they'll all be better.
So
And it's going to be fun.
So that for me is actually what you get from it. And that is you learn a lot about your own team.
Yes.
And from a coach's perspective, I learned, we need to battle harder here. We need to do this better here. I need, whatever the case is. So that's what you'll really learn from it. Not necessarily we learn who's going to be the best and, and who's going to win a state title, but we learn a hell of a lot. And why it's so important is you saw it this weekend, like, we had three, not this past weekend, but past week, 3 district duels.
Yeah.
That actually have already
2 starts
their
tonight.
tickets to, the start of the process.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that, Fleming Island beat Buchholz to win their district. Middleburg won their district.
Flagler Palm Coast.
I'm sorry, Flagler. Yeah. What did I say?
You said Fleming Island.
Sorry, Flagler Palm Coast. Beat Buchholz. You had Middleburg win, and then you had Jensen Beach take care of business down in their neck of the woods as well. And you're starting to see it. I asked it a couple weeks ago on when we were talking. You're starting to see more duels. You saw the Gene Gorman duels, down in Charlotte.
Charlotte 1, Wellington 2, Southridge 3, Jensen Beach 4. Amazing stuff there. I did not get results from Manatee, but there you had Somerset going against Manatee, and I got to reach out to Joe. The name wasn't there, but whoever won the most important match was up 15-2 and in neutral and scored a pin on his move. And that was what gave them the win because they beat Zephyr Hills Christian 33-32, I believe, on criteria. And because he did he had a pin move and instead of winning by tech. I mean, so a close duel there, a good test for Somerset. But yeah, a really good duels weekend here in Florida. And St. John Newman goes up to Tennessee and wins the Smoky Mountain duels. And Clay and Columbus are up there and getting some good experience. So just a fun duels weekend.
Well, and just real quick, and then I'm gonna go to you, Dan. Is that piggybacking on the St. John Newman? It was the same thing that we saw with Haggerty at Johnny Rouse. They lost a duel, and yet still won. And they lost to Oak Mountain, Alabama, in like the pool, and then ended up beating them in the finals. And they had Cass out of Georgia was a defending state champ. They had West Forsyth from Georgia was third in that event. We are talking again high level dual action. Dan, sorry about that.
The one thing that I wanted to say, and I know I don't want to go too far deep into it because I think the next segment here we're going to talk about knockout once we wrap this up. But Rebecca Marin again on fire. She wins another tournament this weekend. She beat Sophie Bowie, I believe, in the finals. And
second straight week they matched up.
Yeah, so this girl has been amazing, and I know we'll talk about the 100-pound bracket coming up next on the Dirty South podcast.
I'm getting texts at like 6 a.m. from Dan, like, "Hey, can you see this?"
Well, before I'm gonna go through this real quick. Just a couple names I want to point out from across the state. Jackson Newton from Charlotte, 2-time state finalist, 285, wins a tiebreaker win over Blake Elder, Jensen Beach. They're 1-2 in my rankings right now in Class 2A. We'll see them wrestle again. Jasper Kroom, top 3 battle, goes 10-9 to win the weight class at the Bobcat round robin. Huge win for him. He keeps showing where he's at. Shanley Clairvoyant got to beat the number 2 wrestler at the Gene Gorman showcase, showing how strong he is at 13. Bear Siegel, North Bay Haven, beat 2 state champions, I'm told. I don't know out of state stuff, but said it. I was told they were Georgia and Alabama state champs to win to Ryan Blackwell. That's huge.
And speaking of Brant, there was a kid that he wrestled in the semis
Yes,
from
that's
Arnold. That is Arnold is a school in Florida in the Panhandle, and Arnold, the kid who I forget what his name was, it was 2-1 until Bear finally got a takedown towards the end there and a little move, and quickly it went to 7-2 or something if I remember right there. But this kid is ranked all the way down at 14 in the Cobra rankings, the most hated man in wrestling. And he put up against the number one.
Point out all my bad stuff.
He
Make
put
it
up
look
a
like I don't know
battle
what I'm
against
doing.
he put a battle up against the number one kid. Look, I love Bear, and Bear got through it, and he came off the mat and was the first one to say
It must have been his
man,
quarters because the semis were against a Georgia kid and
oh, it
finals
must
was
have been the
against
quarters,
Alabama kid.
but he stepped it up after that. He didn't have any more hiccups. But shout out to the Arnold kid. I mean, he really pushed Bear and made Bear actually wake up.
And the last one I want to mention on the guy side, Massimo Pelicano.
Yeah.
I'm sure I got that wrong. Venice goes against Barrett in the finals at their tournament and scores a late escape, wins I think 10-9. And I've gotten multiple messages how that was probably the match of the weekend in Florida.
Oh, I mean, okay, so it might have been the match of the weekend in Florida, but man, I'll tell you what, you just mentioned several names of what it could have been matches.
There
There
could have been a lot. This is
well,
one that people are like,
listen,
I wish I had video to send you so you could watch the end of this match.
Yeah, the Sanders Modica match was, I don't know, that was pretty good. I mean, those two seem like they don't like each other very well.
There was some top quality wrestling going on. There was no doubt. There was no doubt that the level of competition was quite good.
All right. Well, thanks for showing up. We'll get some information out there on the RAF. We'll have BB next week, and
we're not talking about other stuff in Florida?
Let's talk about other stuff in Florida. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I didn't know it's I saw the time and
yeah.
No, we want to go, but I don't want to
Cloud. I have to be at St. Cloud High School by 1:15.
Okay, so let's just look ahead this weekend to non-knockout stuff.
Sorry about that. But I'm only 9 minutes from there, but it takes 9 minutes also to upload the video.
No,
let's call it 20 minutes.
I just at least we don't even need to make predictions. I just want to just point out some of the non-knockout stuff going on this weekend because I've noticed this as someone who has to look over all of this. Everybody's in action this weekend. No longer is the knockout after Christmas kind of by itself on an island, so you can kind of like, if you're me, not worry about other stuff. But this weekend, Beast of the Beach is going on this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The Gil Strong is going on. Rumble on the Range first event at the Villages, and in total there's like 23 tournaments going on in Florida this coming weekend that aren't the knockout.
Everybody's wrestling the annual, the 152,000 Lyman tournament is going on.
Bill Scott Memorial is going on. Key West Invitational, one of my favorite tournaments, because what they do is they house teams in their gym. Because I don't know if you all know, but Key West this time of year is expensive because it's amazing and my favorite place to go. But because of that, they actually have a house in Key West, or like a building where they normally house away teams. But because there's so many teams coming in, they all bunk up in the gym. So teams can come down there, compete in the Key West Invitational, and not have to worry about blowing 3 years budget just on a hotel.
Well, wrestlers are used to sleeping on the mat, so
it's not that hard for them. I'm thinking of me.
Wasting,
but it's a cool event.
They'll all be wasting away again in Margaritaville.
No, they're not in Margaritaville.
All right, you know what? We do not need to hear Dan sing. So let's guys. So let's wrap it up by saying this: like lots of action, not just at the knockout, although that's what we will be talking about in our next show. And like again, like we could spend hours and hours talking about all these different matches, all the different things that occurred, and everything else. Cabra, you've opened, Brant, you've updated the rankings.
Yes,
and you're popping everywhere, going to different media days. I'm getting in the car this afternoon to drive down to you guys and for the knockout and everything else. But man,
and my daughter is very excited to see you guys. By the way, she asked me.
Oh yes, I'm excited, and we'll talk about this in the knockout because I've got Jason and I, and obviously Brant. We have help coming to help support us and make sure we take care of getting all the kids.
We will
memories
have
from the
some great
knockout.
coverage,
So,
man. We will have
yeah.
some great coverage. All right, guys. Peace.
All right, so hold on, guys. Let me do this right. Let me hit and stop recording.